Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 15th of December 2022. Now we are the halfway of December and to be honest, the global cryptocurrency market is not looking good at all. Now the massive breaking news that did happen earlier today is that Federal Reserve Board Jerome Powell did announce the interest rate, and the interest rate increase is by 50 basis points. Now look guys, what I'd really urge you to do is go to YouTube, listen to the entire video by Jerome Powell. It is roughly around 40 minutes or so. It gives you a very clear indication if US is heading towards a recession, what the labor market conditions are, and most likely how that will impact Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now what I'm going to be doing is in this particular episode, I'm going to be sharing my information because what I tend to do is I tend to track the price before Jerome Powell goes live, while he's going live, and 4 to 5 hours after he has gone live. Now what has happened is that unfortunately, not much has happened in the price of cryptocurrency market, and the global cryptocurrency market as of today 15th of December is at $866.52 billion, and this is 3 to 4 hours after Jerome Powell went live. So I'm going to be talking what to look at and what not to look at, because mainstream media, they tend to put out their own narrative and how that is completely different from the actual announcement. Now in today's episode we're also going to be discussing the US SEC, and they have sued Atlas Trading for $100 million stock manipulation, and what kind of an impact will that have in the near future. Now regarding metaverse, we do have some really crucial information, and surprisingly, Netherlands tops the survey as the most metaverse-ready country. Really, I'm not sure if the survey is taken into consideration only the European countries, so I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions on that. And we also have some news regarding a decentralized Twitter application, and this is done by none other by the censorship king and the former CEO of Twitter, that is Jack Dorsey. We also have some positive news regarding NFTs, and a few days ago in my podcast I also talked about how Reddit has actually pumped the NFT volume, and this time even Bored Ape Yacht Club has seen an uptick. So essentially NFTs are definitely doing good, particularly this week. Now this is great considering the fact that the market is in an absolute turmoil. Now regarding UAE, I have two news, and both the news are regarding events that is taking place today, 15th of December. So the first event is called as Metaverse, the Hype Reality and New World Order. And look guys, the session is completely free of cost. You're more than welcome to attend it. And the second one is an Ethereum Beginner's Guide, where I'll go ahead and explain everything in detail. So in today's episode, I'm going to give a very brief overview on how to sign up for this event and what is it that you can expect from this event. So let's kickstart today's episode. So welcome everyone, it's 18 you're in Dubai and you're listening to Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes in the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well. News that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. This is followed by Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And every Fridays we have a Metaverse Everything podcast, so please check out those episodes as well. The format for Metaverse Everything is completely different, and what I tend to do is I tend to publish a daily and weekly report via my LinkedIn, so please follow me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is in the show notes below. Now before we kickstart today's episode, I have an important message, so check this out. Firstly guys, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called Rise in the Obstacle Course Race, and Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, since you've taken care of that, let's look at the global cryptocurrency market. Now look guys, earlier today, Jerome Powell did go live via YouTube, and he did announce the interest rate hike by 50 basis points. A few hours before the announcement was made, the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum did temporarily go down, but it did not go down by a lot. I'm talking about less than 1%. While the announcement was taking place, unfortunately, there was no movement on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So what I did, I tried to wait for at least 4 to 5 hours, and even after that, there is no improvement or decline in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now the global crypto market is at $866.52 billion. Now since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.39%. The total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is $44.86 billion. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 15.63%. Now let's look at the volume of DeFi. Because to be honest, 2022, the volume of DeFi has been absolutely horrendous, and looks like DeFi is going to be ending on a terrible note. The total volume in DeFi for 15th of December is $2.25 billion, and the total value locked is $41.99 billion. MakerDAO accounts for major chunk at 15.35%, and right now MakerDAO is once again the number 1 protocol. Now 2 days ago, MakerDAO was number 2nd, and Lido Finance was number 1 for 2 days, and this might be the only 2 days in 2022 where Lido's total value locked was more than MakerDAO. Now today Lido is number 2nd, and $6.38 billion has been locked in its protocol. And in yesterday's episode we talked about that when you talk about Lido, the total value locked is taken out from the overall total value locked. So check out yesterday's episode, so it gives a bit more information. Aave is currently at $3.90 billion, Core Finance at 3.75, and Uniswap at $3.57 billion. Now the volume of stablecoins is still really bad at $42.34 billion, and Tether USDT accounts for $31.28 billion. And look guys, when you talk about the volume of stablecoins, Tether USDT accounts for a majority of the chunk, but Tether is planning to remove secured loans in reserves by 2023. And 2023, this might be a massive news, and it's going to be really interesting to see what impact it has on the volume of Tether. So essentially, Tether will stop lending out funds from its reserve. Now the reason why Tether is doing that is because of a reaction from recent mainstream backlash by Wall Street Journal. Because what Wall Street Journal is claiming that Tether's reserves are absolutely unreliable, and to be honest guys, I 100% agree to it. And the Wall Street Journal did call out Tether USDT issuer, that is Bitfinex, for always lending out its stablecoin assets instead of selling them upfront. Now further, the report that they published also claims that the stablecoin issuer, that is Tether USDT, may not have enough liquidity assets to pay redemption soon. So one thing which I've been saying since almost 2 years now, the black swan event for the cryptocurrency space could just be Tether. Now Tether has put out a statement earlier today which says, understandably, after the events that have unfolded this year, the company recognizes that it is mission critical to restore faith in the market. Today, that is the 15th of December. In addition to dismissing the recent cycle of Tether FUD that's hitting the rumor mill, Tether is announcing starting from now, throughout 2023, it will reduce secured loans in Tether reserves to zero. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of an impact this has on the volume of Tether USDT. So as of today, Tether USDT's volume is $31.28 billion, Circle USDC's volume is $3.14 billion, and Binance USD's volume is $7.24 billion. Now let's quickly look at the market share, 24-hour trading volume and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin's market share is $343 billion, Ethereum's market share is $160 billion. The 24-hour trading volume between Bitcoin and Ethereum is Bitcoin at $25.4 billion and Ethereum at $7.77 billion. The dominance is relatively the same for the entire last week. Bitcoin's dominance is 39.54% and Ethereum's dominance is at 18.50%. Now let me share the smart contracting platform, and I'm going to be taking into consideration the top 5 smart contracting platform, and I'm going to be sharing the market cap. Ethereum is at $160 billion. Binance BNB's volume has relatively gone down because of the FUD that was taken on in crypto Twitter, and it is at $48.89 billion. Cardano is at $10.64 billion, Polkadot at $6.16 billion, and Solana, which is on an uptrend, is at $5.20 billion. Now let's quickly look at the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. Now the price of Bitcoin did temporarily go down before the announcement by Jerome Powell, but it has marginally gone up, and as of today, 15th of December, it is $17,812. It's going to be really interesting to see how the price reacts towards the weekend, because I do feel that would set the tone on what the cryptocurrency market looks like by the end of this year. Now, going back to Bitcoin, the price is down by 0.15% since the last 24 hours. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 5.71%. Ethereum is $1,310 since the last 24 hours, though. It is down by 0.85%. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 6.32%. Binance Coin is $267. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally down by 1.75%. And since the last 7 days, it is down by 5.85%. Now look guys, the massive news that did take place today in the world of economy, in the world of finance, is the interest rate by Jerome Powell. And this might be the last hike in 2022. So the Federal Reserve Board raises interest rate by 50 basis points, the highest level in 15 years. And the entire goal of raising this interest rate is to curb the inflation to 2%. Now look guys, before reading through articles via mainstream media, listening to influencers in TikTok or Instagram or even on YouTube, what I'd really recommend you to do is go to YouTube, go to the Federal Reserve Board's channel and watch the entire video, because you'll be surprised the information is completely different to what the mainstream media puts out. Now in that interview, Jerome Powell did clearly mention that the goal is to curb inflation to 2%. And he also stressed the fact that the labor market and the job condition in US is definitely looking good. Now after his announcement, he also has question and answer sessions, and some of them constantly kept asking him if US is heading towards a recession, and he often told them that the US is definitely not heading towards a recession. Now there's a lot of incorrect information which is published by mainstream media, and one thing which I did actually read, that is an article by Guardian, and surprisingly they wrote an article even while Jerome Powell was live, and what they said is that the Fed is reducing the interest rate because signs of inflation may be slowing down. This is 100% incorrect and fake news. Now what I really liked in the interview by Jerome Powell is one of the reporters from CNN did actually ask and try to link it to woke culture in terms of does the job market has anything to do with racism, inequality and quite a lot more, and his response was absolutely brilliant. He actually did compare that in 2018, 19 and 20 the market conditions were absolutely excellent, so looks like he's actually indicating that Trump did actually do a better job. So I'd really recommend you to listen to the entire video. But what happened is that as the announcement was made, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 109 points, or roughly around 0.3%, after being 287 points higher earlier today, and the S&P dipped 0.5%. But unfortunately, so far, the prices of Bitcoin and global cryptocurrency market has not changed a lot. Now let's discuss some news regarding SEC, and the US Security and Exchange Commission has sued Atlas Trading for a 100 million stock manipulation scheme, and 8 individuals promoted deceptive demands for stocks, and they did it via Twitter, Discord and YouTube to sell their share at a high point. Now, I would really recommend you to do is read through the entire filing, because it does give all the details, the names of the 8 defendants, and it says that the 8 defendants earned approximately $100 million from this stock manipulation scheme. So once again guys, when you talk about cryptocurrencies, it's so critical not to just listen to influencers or even listen to people from the fintech space. You need to truly understand how the technology works, try to do your own research, and one thing which CZ actually said, don't trust, verify. In today's episode, I also have some metaverse related news, and this is to do with Netherlands, and surprisingly Netherlands has topped a new survey as the most metaverse-ready country. Now, Cointelegraph did publish an article, and this article is based on a study by Uswitch, which revealed countries that are ready to embrace metaverse by more technical standards, such as fixed broadband speeds and prices. But what I'm really skeptical about this survey is that looks like they're only taking into consideration people from Europe. Apart from that, I think what they need to be focusing more on is the user's willingness and adaptability to metaverse. But nonetheless, Netherlands is number 1 with a score of 7.74, Switzerland is number 2 at 7.61, and Lithuania is metaverse ready at number 3 at 7.39. Now they only have a list of 34 countries, and it is a bit strange not to see Turkey, cause Turkey in one of the earlier reports was leading the metaverse race, and I wouldn't be surprised if India and UAE is on the list as well. Now let's talk about some really interesting news, and this is the possibility of a decentralized Twitter, but the biggest problem is this is advocated by the censorship king and former CEO of Twitter, that is Jack Dorsey. So Jack Dorsey is pushing for a decentralized Twitter alternative and highlighted that a solution to Twitter's censorship issue is making a platform resilient from corporate government or government control. How ironic is that? And he also published an article in a website called getreview.com. Now looks like this is in response to a series of powerful and critical tweets released by Elon Musk. And he posted this article, and in that article what he said, that he's planning to have small grants to focus on giving cash and equity grants for engineering teams working on social media and private communication protocols and more. Now look guys, Jack Dorsey is if not one of the worst people to be talking about censorship king. Now he might have the right technology, he might be having the right idea, but what I feel is rather than Jack Dorsey, the face of this particular project should be someone else. So what are your thoughts guys? Would you trust the censorship king Jack Dorsey on a decentralized or a distributed Twitter alternative? Mention your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's talk about some positive news, and this is to do with NFT. And in yesterday's podcast, I did talk about a Reddit Inc. and they have quite a lot of users who did actually mint NFTs via Polygon, and it had to do with avatars. Earlier today, News BTC has reported that statistics show that NFT sales jumped 27.72% higher than NFT sales recorded last week, and $154 million in NFT sales was recorded over the last week. And Bored Ape Yacht Club was the collection that captured the most sales this week. So definitely brilliant news. And it's great to see that the user adoption in NFTs have increased, considering that the fact that the market is in complete turmoil. Now guys, let's talk about 2 news regarding UAE. Now today 15th of December, I have 2 events. The first one is called Metaverse, the Hyper Reality and New World Order. And I also have another event called as Ethereum Beginner's Guide. Now the Metaverse event, the Hyper Reality and New World Order, kickstarts at 11 AM to 12:30 PM Gulf Standard Time. Now you can register via eventbrite.com go to eventbrite.com and just type in blockchaindxb.com, or just drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. So in today's episode on Metaverse Everything, I'm going to be explaining the hype surrounding Metaverse, and we'll be looking at what Metaverse is and the institution and companies joining on board. We'll be explaining the expectation versus reality of Metaverse, the hardware requirements, the software requirements, and the challenges and limitations of Metaverse. We'll also go ahead and explore real-life use case. We'll also look at New World Order and if the USA will have a competitive edge in the Metaverse, and what is it that other countries can do to be an early adopter in the Metaverse. So essentially, this particular series is broken down into three parts. In part A, we're going to be discussing the history of Metaverse, what is the Metaverse, the hype of Metaverse, the hardware and software needed in the Metaverse, and in part B, we'll be looking at areas where Metaverse merges with the physical world. We'll be looking at news and events surrounding Metaverse in Dubai, and we'll also discuss if blockchain is a right use case in the Metaverse. Now look guys, particularly at this point of time, with the blockchain trilemma in mind, I don't think that blockchain as of now is the perfect mix for Metaverse. It could be possible that 3 to 5 years down the line, once the blockchain trilemma problem is solved, then blockchain will be a perfect use case in the Metaverse. But we'll be exploring the top 5 Metaverse platforms, the limitation of blockchain, the NFT use case in Metaverse, artificial intelligence enabled NFT, and their use case in Metaverse. And in part C, we'll be discussing Dubai's role in Metaverse. We'll go ahead and explore the Dubai Metaverse strategy. And look guys, I already have a standalone episode explaining what the Dubai Metaverse strategy is and what role does VARA, that is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, play in the Metaverse. And recently, Dubai also announced the Dubai Metaverse Assembly, and there they announced that Dubai is planning to have gross Metaverse product instead of GDP. So we'll be exploring all those things in detail. And look guys, if you're a startup or someone who's working in the Metaverse, what are the networking events that are taking place in and around Metaverse? And this session is completely free of cost. So go to eventbrite.com, sign up for the event, or drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. The second event that takes place today from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Gulf Standard Time is the Ethereum Beginner's Guide, and this is done in line with Dubai Blockchain Strategy, an initiative to train, educate, and consult the people on blockchain technology. The link for the session can be found on eventbrite.com, or you can also drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And guys, I tend to do this session every month to purely educate the people on what Ethereum is, and the session is completely free of cost. No technical expertise is needed, and no investment advice will also be given. And in today's session, I'm going to be discussing what is Ethereum, how does Ethereum work, the projects that existed before Ethereum, and the key difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, what were the challenges that were faced by Ethereum. And Ethereum right now is currently facing a massive challenge, and this is to do with OFAC compliant. And one of the biggest game changers in Ethereum was the London hard fork. So we'll go ahead and explain what that London hard fork is. And look guys, that particular concept of London hard fork can be implemented by central bank digital currencies as well. So I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on that. And the big question, can Ethereum flip Bitcoin? So we'll go ahead and explore that. Now, Ethereum also had a massive update from Ethereum to Ethereum Consensus Layer or Ethereum 2.0, and they had different stages. So we'll go ahead and very briefly look at the different stages. Now, if you want to get involved in Ethereum, what is it that you can do? How can you connect with people? How can you build on Ethereum? And quite a lot more. We'll also discuss the competitors of Ethereum. Now, historically, there have been many Ethereum killers, and none of them have apparently survived. So we'll be looking at that. And we'll also look at the current and the future state of Ethereum. And once again, guys, the session is completely free of cost, taking place today between 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Gulf Standard Time. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 from Blockchain DXB. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com, and check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website, that is area2071.com. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's kick start with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And remember, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And how the series of episodes in the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And I have a question by Julian who asks, what major changes do you see in 2023? Now this is a brilliant question, Julian, but I'll try to give this answer at a very macro level. Now I do see that there'll be loads of educational institutes educating students and college students on the benefits of blockchain technology, but what I think they need to focus on is the limited use case of blockchain, because when I see a LinkedIn post and when I see people talking about blockchain, they are thinking as though blockchain is the end game for everything. Unfortunately, that is not the case. So in 2023, hopefully, I do feel that people who are getting into the industry truly understand the limited use case of blockchain technology. One of the biggest use cases of blockchain is that it is a trustless system. It is often slow. And you also need to understand the blockchain trilemma problem. Now in 2023, as the industry is maturing, I do feel that there will be loads of educational institutes, even corporate institutes, explaining to individuals the basics of blockchain technology. Now that being said, Julian, I do see in 2023 a lot of projects will be disappearing. Projects similar to, let's say, Celsius, so projects similar to 3 Arrow Capital, projects similar to FTX. I do see quite a lot of projects definitely disappearing, and it is a bit surprising to see Tether, which did actually put out a statement that they're planning to stop a couple of things. Now, similar to Tether, I'm pretty much sure there'll be at least 20 to 30 other protocols, particularly in the DeFi sector, which definitely might be disappearing. So the general sentiment, Julian, in 2023, I don't think will be that great. It might be focusing more on education, but in 2024 is when the Bitcoin halving would occur. And what I feel is, when the halving is occurring, 3 to 4 months before mainstream media, celebrities and influencers are going to be talking about the Bitcoin halving as the next biggest event, and historically 6 to 8 months after the next halving is when the price of Bitcoin tends to pump. So hopefully by the first quarter of 2025 is when I think a lot of people will be getting into Bitcoin, and by that time I wouldn't be surprised if there's something new which kicks up, because in 2017 there was this massive craze on initial coin offering. In 2018 it was everything about DeFi and yield farming. So everyone in 2018 was talking about DeFi, and experts were being born every second day. Looks like DeFi is dead in 2022. In 2020, there was this massive craze about NFTs. Now, NFT news did die earlier in the year, but last week looks like NFT in general has been doing really great. In 2021, it was everything about metaverse, and that theme echoed in 2022 as well. Now, 2023, I do feel will be relatively calm. But Julian, what I see is towards the second quarter or the third quarter of 2023, we might be seeing some news regarding central bank digital currencies. And I do feel towards the last quarter of 2023 is when we'll be seeing a lot of news surrounding central bank digital currencies. So loads of events explaining the benefits of central bank digital currencies. And I'm pretty much sure there'll be a lot of fintechs and startups who will try to merge news with central bank digital currencies. So that's essentially what I think might happen in 2023, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this entire narrative plays out. So that's all for today, guys, on the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain TXP. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, mention them in the comments below, or drop me an email to info@blockchaintxp.com, or drop me an email to info@area2071.com. And also, guys, check out my website, blockchaintxp.com, and also check out my other website, area2071.com, that talks everything about metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well. News that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and metaverse. And what you're listening to right now was the Ask Me Anything series. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant day ahead. Bye-bye.